Bill Belichick basically told Bill O'Brien, we can't block worth a crap. Just run the crap out of the ball. And that's what they did, and it worked for them. You wonder why they just didn't do that from the get-go. And then the fourth quarter, the second half was about Mac Jones just slowly sort of falling apart. And we'll get into the reasons for that and a little bit more about the plays. But plays were there to be made to win this game. Mac Jones and the offense, basically Mac Jones didn't make the plays that were there. And they lost. You know, Mike, what were your feelings about the game?
That they played scared of their quarterback. You know, that's to your point, running 8 of the first 12 plays, and they got away from it again. Then in the second half, it was just like, I don't trust this guy to do the right thing when there's pressure in his face, which there was pressure in his face. As you said, 5 sacks in the first half is ridiculous. But to get inside the red area and be like, we're just going to hand it off. We're going to hand it off. And then when you finally allow him to make throws, I mean, he makes a god-awful throw to Hunter Henry in the end zone that should have been picked off. And maybe Hunter, I don't know your view, maybe Hunter didn't run exactly the right route there, but quarterback's got to put it on him. He didn't do it. Lucky he didn't get picked there. And then obviously the one to Gesicki, which, I mean, Vidarian Lowe's in the process of getting beat. But if you look at the separation, he had probably 3 yards before that defender was going to stick his helmet into his rib cage. That's more than enough time to execute that play and stand in there and deliver. And it actually reminded me, going all the way back to the Dallas game, when I think we saw signs of him being really sped up in that game early on, where he had Gesicki, if you remember, Gesicki running across the formation in the back of the end zone, and Micah Parsons absolutely abused Trent Brown, and he's coming. He had 5 yards on that throw between him and Parsons, and he still threw with this horrible form, legs even, on the back foot, just falling away, and the ball didn't get there. Had he let it clear for another half a second and puts the ball in like he's capable of, it was an easy touchdown. Instead, 2 defenders are involved. Gesicki, could have made the catch, didn't make the catch. They don't get a touchdown there. And here, just a brutal turnover. The kind of stuff that, quite frankly, has been happening all year. And I think if we've studied body language, right? And we've been studying the body language of these players, especially over the last, 4 to 6 weeks. I remember you actually talking about the Saints game and pointing out, Hunter Henry and Trent Brown. And if you look at that play, there's a similar sort of feel like he just did it again. Mm-hmm. He did it again. Like Gesicki's like, I couldn't be more wide open. All you had to do was just put the ball up there. And he didn't even give him a chance. There are too many times in big spots where he doesn't give them a chance. And that was just the latest example.
You were in on Bill today. What do you think about what he said, and where do you think things stand right now as far as the team? Have they made a decision, or what do you think the timetable is on that?
Well, look, so as I reported today on Boston Sports Journal, there are players that don't believe that Mac should be the starter going forward. Mm-hmm. And, there's, as we've talked about with this whole breakdown of Mac, right, there's a bunch of reasons why we got here. Lots of people are culpable for why they got here. But the fact of the matter is that they are here. He does not have the belief of most of the people in the room. I don't believe he has the belief of the coaching staff. Bills did not announce anything today. I wouldn't expect him to. It's kind of not how he rolls, right? But he did have an answer at the end of his press conference, and it was probably the best answer he gave because most of it was one-liners, right, all the way across the board. But he was asked about the idea of playing younger players, and maybe because of the record, this is the time where, the hell with it, just play some of the kids and see what you got. See if there's something there that you haven't seen thus far, players weren't mentioned specifically, but, you could mention like a Jake Andrews or a Marte Mapu, just sort of giving some of those guys increased snaps and see if there is, even Tyquan Thornton, if there is something there. And Bill said, I'm going to play the guys who've earned the right to play. And I can't put someone out there that didn't earn that right or puts us in a position where the guys around him, and I'm paraphrasing, can't trust him. And to me, he was talking about Mac Jones without talking about Mac Jones. I think they've gotten to the point now where when they look at Mac, even with the things wrong around him, they say, boy, he can't elevate. And in fact, he continues to go deeper and deeper into this hole. And I think it would be, look, there's been a lot of bad messages sent to the locker room. I think running him out there next week after the bye against the Giants would send a really bad message to the rest of the players. Like, dude has killed us a number of times. How can you go there again? Anybody else? I don't care whether it's Zappe or Greer. Just give me anybody else, and let's see if those guys can't make the killer mistake. And let's just see if maybe we can make some plays just because we got a new energy in the huddle. And I think that's where they've got to be at this point.
FanDuel is the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Who do you think it'll be, Zappe or Greer?
See, I do think it's still going to be Zappe. I think I didn't like Belichick's answer Monday about Greer, pointing out that basically he's on the scout team. I think early, the sense I got from talking to people is early when he arrived that there was some intrigue there.
I agree.
And now it feels like, right, Greg, it feels like there's, not that there was buzz about Will Greer, but there was like, oh, well, this maybe this is one of those guys that just kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But in our system, he might actually have a chance. And now I don't feel like I'm getting the same feedback about Will Greer. Yep. So I feel like it's going to be Bailey.
Yeah, I agree. I know people said I was reporting things, but I wasn't really reporting anything. I was just telling people that, my sense from talking to people in the building, I don't know, this was a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Yep. Sort of when Greer first got there and they sort of got a look at him, like a lot of people in the building were like, oh, we might have something here, a little something here. And there's also, I don't think Zappe has many supporters in that building obviously he was cut. I think a lot of people think Zappe's not any good. They didn't want him to be here. If he got claimed by somebody else, they would have been just fine with it when they released him. They sort of reluctantly brought him back here. They didn't have any other options because of the great roster planning that Bill Belichick does on the offensive side of the ball. And, I don't know what's transpired in the last month at practice when they've gotten glimpses of him. But I agree with you. I think that, my sense is, and again, this is Bill Belichick's call. And nobody knows what the hell Bill Belichick's thinking. Will Greer can have all the support he wants in the building, but if one man wants to see Zappe, or if Joe Judge is in Bill's ear saying Zappe's a soldier, he'll do exactly what we want, and like all this stuff, that might be enough to put Zappe in. And what's the harm? There are 7 games left. If Zappe stinks up the building, which he has since the beginning of this offseason, then you can put Greer in later. Plus, he gets to learn the playbook. I wouldn't be surprised if Mac is just straight out inactive as the third quarterback come the Giants game. Because to me, he just the state he was in that final pass, he's completely shot. It's just been a descent. And I know there are a lot of people who are like, I've never seen that before. I don't know why Bill Belichick would do that. Look, Mac Jones was done. He with each increasing pass attempt, he was worse and worse to the point where he Chuck Knoblocked that pass. Like he was done. You couldn't put him back out there. You didn't know whether he was going to throw the ball left, right, center, or backwards at that point. And so I had no problem with the decision to put Zappe in at that point. I don't care if it wasn't fair to Zappe. That's the role of the backup. If Mac Jones got hurt on that pass, Zappe's got to go in. That's his job. That's the way that it is. You got to be ready to do your thing. Real quick.
Hey, Greg, the fair thing is the dumbest thing ever. It's a perfectly illustrated point. Fair? Being the backup quarterback is not fair. You have to be ready at a moment's notice. It's why we used to give credit for Bill, right, in the preseason when in the middle of a series, all of a sudden Brian Hoyer would have to come in, with totally cold, not having any idea that you're going to enter the game. That's your job. That is the very definition of your job. You have to be ready to be instantly plugged into the game and provide instant offense when you're plugged into the game. You got to be Vinnie Johnson for the Detroit Pistons. You got to be microwave coming off the bench. That's the role of the job. And I have no sympathy there that he was put in a rough situation.